everyone. Welcome to the Simply Trade News Roundup. And I'm here with Lalo. Hello, Lalo. How are you?
Hello, Anik. Good. And you? How was your holiday?
My holiday. Oh,
you
holiday. Sorry, I did have a
weekend.
holiday. Yes. Oh my God. My life is crazy. I did see the Northern Lights, which was insane. I was in Norway, Tromsø, on an island. It's on an island. I was in Oslo first, and then I was
but Norway or something?
Yes, Norway.
Oslo.
Yeah, and Tromsø is like above the Arctic Circle, so it's super far north. Pretty cold, and yeah, I got to see the Northern Lights, which is beautiful and just astonishing. I've never seen anything like it. Got some great pictures and, memories. So that was very exciting. What else? Well, we already talked about your holiday, but I did want to say that you guys should definitely stick around till the end because I have a very fun fact for you guys. I'm very proud of it. It came up on my TikTok. Now you guys are probably out already. But TikTok has some fun stuff, and the algorithm sometimes it really gets you. And this one was right on the spot logistics wise, which is crazy, right? Why would that be on my TikTok? But it was. Anywho, we have some fun articles for you today. Fun. Not sure if it's fun, but it's definitely informational. And maybe you can use some of it in your job or as a, future projects approach. You can kind of assess things, keeping these news in mind. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to us or email us, whatever you want to do. And we can dive deeper into these kind of topics. All right, Lalo, are you ready? So the first one we have, as we're reading this, we see that there has been a sharp drop in U.S. import prices. That is what this article discloses. I think this is from Reuters. I think so. Yes.
Reuters. Yes,
Reuters. Sorry.
Reuters.
So basically what they're saying is that energy product prices have been leading to the significant drop in U.S. import prices, basically impacting overall trade trends. So the changes in U.S. import prices can affect trade balances and competitiveness in global markets, particularly for energy, capital goods, and consumer goods.
Yeah, well, it's just showing that recently that U.S. imports from other countries have been going down by 0.4%. It's not that much, but obviously when you take all the imports that we have, obviously then that in dollars it is a lot. And so apparently this is the biggest drop that we've seen, like you said, in 9 months. So why is this important? I guess because inflation, when the import prices, so we're talking about not the actual imports themselves, like the volume of imports that went down. It's the prices of imports that went down, right? Is that what you said, or did I miss that? No, I think that's what you said.
Yes.
Okay, so the volume did not go down. It's the cost that went down. So obviously, when those prices go down, then inflation. That tends to bring inflation down because people can buy things better at the stores. And so it's good news in that sense. And then apparently that from the little research that I did, and again, you didn't mention that I on the article, it kind of gleamed over it, but it just says that that some of the biggest reasons for the drop were there's lower prices in energy, like oil and gas, that kind of stuff, right? Okay.
Yeah, that it did mention,
and so and food.
While we're looking at U.S. import prices, I think it would be nice to maybe look at the entire world or different kind of countries if they're having the same experience with import prices, or if there was no change for them. That would be a valuable thing to kind of look at. I'm not sure how it is for other countries or in Europe per se.
Right. So anyway, I guess overall, if you're a trade professional, it tends to be good news, only because supply chain is getting a little more lean, I guess, or you're not having to pay so much for it. That you can plan better, etc. So you have a little more money at your disposal to use for your resources. So that's pretty good there. So
the price dropped by 0.4%. Which again is a good indicator that prices are dropping. What concerns me though is that the price for U.S. goods being exported dropped by 0.7%. So in the overall scheme of things here, again, the U.S. is somewhat losing out of this. It looks like it's a good thing that prices are coming down, but they're also coming down significantly more for U.S. goods. That's one thing. The second thing out of this is that it shows as a whole, and I was doing a little research, this is common throughout the world right now. Our global economy is, we're in a recession. People can try and spin it however they want. We are in a recession. Inflation is a factor all over the world. Some countries are in better shape than others, but generally speaking, the prices of goods have gone up. Now they're coming down a little bit, which is a good sign overall. But there again, I'm hoping that what will translate out of this in lower prices, the question will be, will more U.S. goods be bought and therefore stimulate more export trade for the U.S.?
We have another article coming up, which is talking on UK sanctions, something else, not US, talking about UK. And so they've made a recent decision to impose sanctions on Russian oil and liquefied natural gas, which actually they're targeting 18 Russian oil tankers and 4 LNG vessels. Which this has escalated tension in the energy sector and raised concerns about trade dynamics. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. So this move, this article talks that this move prompts discussion on energy security, diversification of energy sources, and the interplay between trade regulations and geopolitical tension. I think geopolitical tensions have come up quite a lot in 2024. If anything, I feel like that's what we talk on maybe every week. But what is your thought on this article, or what do you take from this? And where do you see the U.S. in this situation? I mean, I know this maybe doesn't affect since these are UK sanctions, but how is the U.S. responding to Russia in that sense?
Well, from my opinion, I'll just real quick, I'll jump in, but the UK is following the U.S. on this. So in other words, this isn't something new. The U.S. has already imposed sanctions on Russian oil and LNG, and the UK is just now getting around to it. So it's just trying to put more pressure economically on Russia to change their behavior. That's the whole thing. Again, folks, people look at this and we're going back and forth. What is the use of tariffs? What are the use of sanctions? Stuff like that. It is to try and change the behavior that's going on in a particular country and their goods and their companies and all that. So that's all this is. It's trying to influence Russia back off of the Ukraine.
From what I saw, also the other significant news behind it is the primary reason that they're that they put these sanctions on them is because these are all what are called a shadow fleet. So they're just pretty much avoiding any and all rules and regulations and anything having to do with the way you're supposed to legally operate as a fleet or a ship transporting oil. And we've had several talks and articles in the past about shadow fleets. So that's nothing. It's not something new for at least for the podcast. But in terms of this, what is it that trade professionals, I guess, should be looking or be aware of? Obviously, is if by chance you happen to have been doing business, especially if you're in the oil and the oil trade, if you happen to have been dealing with or working with one of these 18 different ships, not knowing that that's what they were doing. Of course, I mean, my assumption is most of the times we just don't know what's going on, and if we're dealing with third party or whatnot. So anyway,
you pick on, or not pick, you pointed out a key point here is that this is part of that shadow fleet. For those that of our listeners that may not be realizing that these are the folks that are circumventing, just like what you said, they're circumventing the sanctions, they're circumventing the laws and things of that nature. And they're turning off their GPS transponders so they go invisible to any satellite tracking. So that's what's going on. They're filling up their ships with the oil from Iran or from Russia for, nefarious locations. They're transporting it out of there. Sometimes they'll wind up transloading the oil from their ship to a legitimate ship, but that ship has turned off their transponder initially. So that's what that shadow fleet means if you start listening to it. So
anyway, we'll see how that goes. But anyway, Yannick, so go for it.
Going on to our last article, which this one is talking on U.S. adding Chinese companies to the unverified list. So the unverified list, I don't think that's the specific word that is used, right? I mean, they're putting it in quotation.
No, it is.
So I don't think it's official name.
It is.
It is?
Well, what it is it's a list of companies that are doing business. Well, they're not verified to say they're legitimate. They're just doing business, right, Lalo?
Yeah, so that's what that means. It's just unverified because there's several lists or several different ways that they can list companies for export controls. So this is the actual unverified list. They're just not verified. So yeah, I don't know why the article decided to put it in quotes, but that is an actual list. So
apparently, this is really sparking some heightened export scrutiny, or that's what they're saying. Basically, U.S. exporters are mandated to conduct additional checks and may need to navigate diplomatic complexities in engaging with these Chinese entities. I feel like there's so many Chinese entities on there, but how is this important to U.S. businesses that do business with China? How are they affected by these people on the unverified list? Like now that we're adding 3 more, like what if you're doing business with one of them and now they're on the unverified list? What do they do?
All it's saying, Anik, is that if you are on the unverified list, it doesn't mean you are restricted from doing business with these people. What it does mean is you better step up your vetting of the individuals you're doing business with as well as the company. You better start going down. If it's a supplier, you better be going down to their second and third level tiers to see where are they getting their goods from, or who are they doing business with, or, are they using forced labor, or are they, things of that nature.
So it's not so it's just like basically a slap on the hand. Is that what it is?
Well, sort of. It basically means that if you're in the U.S. and you're exporting technology, for example, and in this case, we're talking about technology, that it's very specific about technology. Okay. So on this list, so if you're a U.S. company and you're exporting to one of these 3 companies that were added to the unverified list, that means that, you now need to, like Andy said, you just basically need to fill out a lot more forms and go through a lot more screening or scrutiny from the government to ship or sell or do business with them. And also, it also means that maybe you're going to need to go out and get permission to do special permission to do business with them. Pretty much the aim is to make it more difficult for these Chinese companies to get U.S. technology. That's the sum of it, so the obvious here is you just need to make sure that your export compliance is up to speed and up to date in doing business with not only these 3, but anybody else that's on there. So that's pretty much this could lead to an outright just you cannot flat out do business with these companies. And it could lead to that, but doesn't mean that it is. It just means right now let's just keep an eye on it while we do business with them.
I hope people take that to heart, or I hope people are smart enough to let's be smart in business. Let's not get into any scrutiny later on, and maybe find some new partners to work with. But I get it. It's hard, and the trade world's crazy. So do what suits you best, I guess. And now we have made it to the end of the episode, but we're not quite finished yet because I have a very fun fact for you today. And it's not even fun. It's something you definitely can talk to your daughters about, maybe your sons, whoever is at your dinner table. You can bring it up and tie your job a little bit together, unless you have some Taylor Swift haters, which would be crazy. But this came up on my TikTok, y'all. And so basically I got my hands on the customs and freight info for the Eras Tour in Europe. How she got all the stuff to Europe and how she got it all back. So listen to this. So the Eras Tour production weighs in at a whooping 1,600,000 pounds, and that's understated. It's nearly 1,700,000, really, taking up around 19,200 square feet worth of containers on a 964 feet cargo vessel, which in this case, it's the NYK Romulus, whatever. Okay, this is not all the information. I have more. There's 2,206 separately tagged items spread across 60 extra large shipping containers. More so following the final show in London on August 20th, the Eras Tour crew disassembled and packed the production into containers within a few days, and then it left the UK on August 27th, and after a few short stops around Europe, it traveled about 4,800 miles and arrived September 19th in Florida. Guess where she has a show today? Today's Friday. So for you guys, it's Monday. She's already done them. But today's her first show. So I thought this was pretty appropriate to discuss this. And then I also have for you how much this whole fun thing costs, which anyone want to take a guess? Lalo, you already know. So Andy, you want to take a guess?
You got me. I don't have a clue.
$15 million US dollars was this whole thing. More actually. So it says more. That's around the price, I guess. But the source was from the US Customs and Border Protection. So this is not just a fun thing. It's like actual facts, which is crazy. And they had a picture of the vessel. And whoa, you can't believe that it's literally just the production for, the Eras Tour. It's insane. But anyways, I thought this popped up on my TikTok and I'm like, whoa, I'm going to have to use this for my fun fact tomorrow. Literally last night, I was so excited. But
well, I will say that as she takes her gear all over the world, if they're not using it, they're crazy. But she should be using an ATA carnet for many of her things, because I'm the amount with all that equipment, the amount of duties and taxes that she would have to pay in the different countries is astronomical. An ATA carnet would, allow her to import and export those goods duty and tax free. But the other thing with her is just imagine the amount of economic stimulation that she created in each of these local areas that she is having her concert.
Yeah. I actually, Lalo, that's what I was trying to get the word for earlier. I was like, what did we talked about something before that she should use, and it's the ATA carnet. Yeah, I was actually looking for that. I could not find that. I could only find the HS code, which was also fun. Product description. I don't know. This was so funny because my worlds collided a little bit. And I got all the logistics facts from, an artist I really like to listen to. So anywho, this might or might not be a cool fact for y'all. If it's not, then just disregard. If it is, then, keep using it. Anyway, this is really all we have for you today. If you have any interesting facts or interesting articles you want us to discuss, please send them our way.
when this is airing, we're going to be at the ICPA conference, the fall conference in Dallas, Texas. Actually, more specifically in Grapevine, Texas. Lalo and I are going to be hosting, if you will, a plenary session there with a panel that is going to be so cool. What's the name? What do they title? I always get it messed up. What are we calling this?
When we wrote it up, we called it Duty Calls. So Duty Calls is pretty much just a call to all trade professionals to step up and pretty much just talk about and help your fellow trade professionals in just doing the right stuff, and so we're just gonna have people talk about that, etc. So anyway, so that's gonna be fun. We're gonna do our very, very hardest, or we're gonna do our best. Let me say that we're gonna do our best to live stream this. So if you're listening to this on Monday and it's still not noon Central, if it's not noon Central, go to the LinkedIn page or our YouTube page for Simply Trade, and we should be live streaming that straight from Dallas. And it's all pray to God that everything goes well. But let's see how that. But anyways, no promises, but at least we will promise to try. So anyway,
hey folks, it's going to be well worth it, your time and all that. I'm just like Lalo and I both are really excited about this. And, we're doing a little different scenario with a public appearance and with the session itself with the ICPA conference. That's the International Compliance Professionals Association. It's a great organization. Both of us have been, heavily involved with the organization for many, many, many years. But that said, looking forward to meeting some new folks, but seeing some old ones and all that. So we'll see you there.
Thank you very much for joining us. Simply Trade is brought to you by the generous contributions of Global Training Center. You can follow the show and GTC on LinkedIn or Twitter and other social networks. Make sure you check out the show notes in the description for a full rundown of today's show with all the important links. Also, make sure that you share this with a friend and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. We really like hearing from you. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to rate and review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the show or would like to sponsor Simply Trade or suggest any topic you would like for us to discuss, please contact us via email at simplytrade@globaltrainingcenter.com, or you can DM us on Twitter at SimplyTradePod. Thank you again for the privilege of your time. Happy trading. Simply Trade is not a law firm or an advisor. The topics and discussions conducted by Simply Trade hosts and guests should not be considered and is not intended to substitute legal advice. You should seek appropriate counsel for your own situations. These conversations and information are directed towards listeners in the United States for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only and should not be substituted for legal advice. No listener or viewer of this podcast should act or refrain from acting on the basis of information on this podcast without first seeking legal advice from counsel. Information on this podcast may not be up to date depending on the time of publishing and the time of viewership. The content of this posting is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. The views expressed in or through this podcast are those of the individual speakers, not those of their respective employers or Global Training Center as a whole. All liability with respect to actions taken or not taken based on the contents of this podcast are hereby expressly disclaimed.